would you not have? Would you do what Cecil and I would have wanted, which is go for the dang thing, win the game, chase a win on the road, not play for a tie? Or would you do what Scaredy Cat Sean decided to do, which is kick the field goal, play for a tie, and then ultimately lose the dang game? Answer at 303-713-1043. Throw your name at the end of that text so we can give you a shout-out here on the show. Look,
I got to know the answers, man.
If you're rooting for the tie or playing for the tie, all good. Your opinion. But you're not coming with me in my foxhole. That's 100%. And I told you earlier, I'm not here screaming fire Sean Payton. I think that would be foolish on a day like today.
Yeah, that's enough.
But what the last 2 weeks have done for me, it's started the conversation with myself in my own head about, like, is Sean the long-term guy for this team? Is Sean the right long-term guy for Bo Nix in the Denver Broncos? And I think that's more than fair. They've lost 2 straight games because their head coach couldn't get out of his own way. A week ago from not running the football, and this week because he was scared and played for a tie.
You get outcoached by Jim Harbaugh, and then you get nervous against Joe Burrow. Mm-hmm. That's not great, Bob. So for me, I want to know what the text line says. I want to know what our YouTube commenters say. So hi, YouTube. We'll be at this segment on YouTube later today, and check out our Denver Sports YouTube channel. But for me, it's like you're on the road, and you can't talk out of both sides of your mouth, because Sean Payton after the game says, well, hey, we could go for the tie, and we could still get into the postseason. You called 2 timeouts in overtime. You stopped the clock twice in overtime. The football gods were giving you the gift of, here is the win. Here's a doink field goal. Here is the ball back. It's 3rd and 9. All you have to do is get a first down, and they call this ridiculous play. I'm not even exactly sure what it was. It's 3rd and 9. You need it, and you go to Adam Troutman, and I like Adam a lot, but I'm going to Sutton. I'm going to Mims, right?
In that game, you're going to Mims.
Yeah, it's 3rd down. We need it. If you get a first down, you are in. So it's not just going for it, and they should have gone for 2. Clearly, they were going to go for 2, and then, of course, they had to replay the dang thing because Marvin Mims and the ball kind of moved. Gene's territory. It was a touchdown. And had they not just ran up to the line, and I know they replay every touchdown, but had they been able to just go for it, now, Sean, you get to show how smart you are because you love that. You discovered electricity, and you get to run a play nobody's seen for 2 to go to the playoffs. That would have been awesome. But for me, it's multiple missteps from Sean Payton. They should have gone for 2. But on 3rd and 9, why don't you line up in a 4-wide set, all goes on the right, and then run an out route at the sticks on the left, and then have Bo Nix run it? It's 3rd and 9. You get 9 yards, you go to the postseason. And on 3rd and 9, you call this most ridiculous play where you're targeting Adam Troutman? No, man. No, that's on Sean again. So multiple gaffes from their head coach. And I'm not where you're at, by the way. And we can have that debate. Neither one of us are on the fire Sean thing, which I think is dumb. Nobody should be saying that. And by the way, it's Sean and Bo. That's the combination. I believe in Sean and Bo. I'm starting to believe more in Bo than I am in Sean. And that's weird because one guy's played 16 games and the other guy's coached 200 and whatever games.
223, I think, was the number.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not great, Bob.
And I'm with you. Look, I'm not here saying fire Sean and this isn't going to work with Bo, but I'm telling you, it's like being in a bad relationship, right? There's these little signs and you go, you know what? I don't really trust me when you say you're going to go have a beer with the boys on Friday night. You know what I mean? I think there's something else going on here. I think it's the same sort of situation with Sean right now of I still am giving you the benefit of the doubt by default because I don't have another choice right now. But I'm kind of starting to keep a tab, right, of like not running the game, not running the ball, not bringing rain footballs to New York City despite it being New York City in the fall. This situation of playing for a tie. I mean, it's just embarrassing what we're talking about here. A guy playing for a tie.
Right.
There's just these things that I'm going to start to keep track of where he's, rather than building trust like he was doing before the bye week, as we talked about, he's now starting to lose more trust than he can build.
Well, allow me to go Johnny Cochran on you because I'm going to rhyme now.
Okay.
We're talking about trust. Let's talk about rust. If you feel there is some rust with Sean Payton, and I disagree with that, but if you feel that's the case, how long is it going to take? It's been 2 years. It's been 2 years. People saying, oh, it's the year off in TV, and then Sean Payton lost his fastball. I don't agree with that.
Well, and I never did either.
And it's been 2 years now.
I never did either.
So if it's not rust, what is it? The guy studies football. Like he's a maniac. Now, during the games. This is the problem. And this is where I think we can come together on this conversation. It's Sean Payton in game.
Mm-hmm.
Sean Payton, okay. I'll be very calm as much as I can be. And you are not saying this, so I'm not saying this to you. But for the people like, Sean Payton lost his fastball. The dude's a maniac in studying football, okay? It's not like he's not going to know the trends. By the way, the trends is just cloud coverage. Thanks, Vic Fangio. It's cover 6, right? Oh, hey, cloud 4, cloud 6, whatever you want to call it. Like, yeah, Sean Payton's going to know the trends, right? And Sean Payton, we still don't see enough sale concepts. We see way too many screen passes. But it's Sean Payton in game. Why does he lose focus in game? During the week, he's going to prepare. He's going to have most weeks, and there's maybe been 4 or 5 weeks where we've questioned his game plan, but most weeks he's going to have a good game plan. So during the week, I got no problems with Sean. But on game day, what happens? What happens? Why does he kind of not necessarily lose his mind, but just kind of lose his focus on everything that he's prepared for?
I think that's a very fair question. I think that's a great way to look at it, too, because I'm with you. I want Sean Payton to be coaching Bo Nix. I'm just now worried about Sean getting in his own way and it hurting the development and the evolution of Bo being a Broncos quarterback, right? And I don't know why that is. I think it's a fair question that you're asking. Sean's game plan, I have a lot of trust in. Sean executing that game plan is where I lose all of that trust.
Right.
Like, I want him to draw it up. But then it's weird, like, hey, can you draw up the game plan and then leave, please? You know what I mean? Because you're not going to execute that. You put all this time and work into something, and then you don't go out and actually execute what you've just worked on and spent all the time on?
Okay. It's a bold strategy, Cotton, but can Joe Lombardi do something?
Well, that's kind of where, again, by default, I go to of should – and, I mean, this is crazy.
You're not taking play calling.
And exactly right. That's exactly what I was going to say. He's never going to give that up.
No.
So it's not even worth our breath.
No, not at all. But can someone get in his ear, get in his kitchen? Can someone yell at him, get in his headset, whatever? And is that Joe Lombardi? Is it Davis Webb? Is it, in fact, Bo Nix when they don't go for 2? And I had problems with Bo Nix's performance. It wasn't clean. Couple of wheelbarrow balls throws, mainly to Marvin Mims. But when Bo's flashing the peace sign, he's saying 2.
Yeah.
The touchdown to Marvin, my ball mentality. You can tie it up and go to overtime, or you can go for 2 and you can win. And Bo's flashing 2. Once Sean nixes that, pun intended, if I'm Bo, I'm losing my stuff. Kev, help me out. I'm losing my stuff. Okay? Got to clean it up. Because I'm Bo Nix, I want to continue that momentum you just built with a spectacular play from Marvin Mims. And so is that, in fact, does Bo need to bow up a little bit more to Sean? I would be wholeheartedly behind that. I would back Bo Nix 1,000,000%.
Well, I'm agreeing with you. I would certainly back him up. And in this instance, I don't know who would.
Well, if Joe Lombardi's not going to do it,
not.
Davis Webb's not going to do it, Bo Nix, you better sure as you know what, do it.
And I agree with you. But is that right now? We saw Bo bark back in, what was it, week 5 against the Raiders.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he's literally waving the special teams off the field and not coming off?
Yeah, Peyton Manning did it. Peyton Manning did it to Tony Dungy, who's like the nicest man on the planet.
Sure. I just think, my question is, like, you're giving me an example of a Peyton Manning with the resume already behind him and Bo Nix playing in his 17th game. Yeah. Or 16th game.
Yeah. Hey, just do it. Do it. Yell back, and let's say Sean forces Will Lutz out there. I'm throwing my helmet. I don't care. I'm throwing a fit. I want the cameras to see, oh, my God, did you see him after they lost? Did you see him after yet another T. Higgins touchdown? The Bengals didn't need to do that, by the way. They could have just kicked the field goal. That was a message, all right? You got embarrassed all day, but you got embarrassed on that play, right? And we haven't yet talked much about Riley Moss. We'll get there. But look at Bo Nix's face. Look at Marvin Mims' face. These guys were pissed. I want that. I love that. I appreciate that. And I know that this loss, even though it sucks and it stings, it could resonate with those guys of like, we're not going to let anybody, even our own head coach, take victory away from us. We're going to go for it.
Yeah. I also have a question for the they haven't beat anybody crowd. So do they get credit for hanging with the hottest team?
They don't
in
get credit for hanging with Kansas City.
They don't get any credit for that, right?
Not according to those people. So here's what I say.
But the world wants to throw Joe Burrow's name in the MVP conversation.
Sure, right.
And the Broncos just pushed him to the brink at his home field.
But this is the first time the Bengals have beat a quarterback one. Every other game that they've won has been against some sort of backup. They faced a real one in Bo Nix. So here's what I have for that, and I did it on the postgame show. I'll save it a little bit for this show. Clowns. Broncos haven't beat anybody. Clowns. Bo Nix was the sixth quarterback. Clowns. You know, all that. Like, we got to stop with that nonsense. For me, get to the postseason. And this includes Bo Nix, writing off Sean Payton.
Yep.
Say, we're not doing that, Sean. It's time for Bo, and we're there. We're there. It's time for Bo to take over. This is Bo Nix's team, not Sean Payton's team.
I think you said something earlier that's so spot on. And if I'm a guy in that locker room, I don't think there's no way you don't feel this today. And you know it, man. Those guys are around each other a lot with no coaches around. That's why the locker room is as special
sacred,
as it is. You're sitting there and you're having a conversation, man, what the hell went wrong on Saturday? And it boils down to the answer being our coach doesn't trust us on the offensive side. Our coach does not trust us enough. And then what does that do to your confidence level, to you being out on the field and not just kind of living in the back of your head?
Yeah.
This is what they do for work, right? Can you imagine if you had a sliver of doubt that your boss didn't trust you at work? That's going to affect your performance. I don't care who you are.
1,000%.
And that's now what the Broncos locker room has to live with.
Okay, now is it a lack of trust in the offense, or is it too much trust in Vance Joseph? We're not letting VJ off the hook here either.
Oh, no, we can talk about
We're not letting
VJ.
him off the hook either. Okay, Jamar Chase, pretty good. Might want to just keep Pat Surtain on him the entire time. We have the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
The numbers are clear. When Pat Surtain was on Jamar Chase, he didn't do much of anything.
3 catches for, what, 40? Was it 47 or 27?
20-something.
Something along
Kev,
those
get those numbers for
Pretty
us.
sure it's
Like
27.
27. Thank you, Kev. But it's like, and then he explodes for over 100 yards when other people are. Why is anybody else on him? Why doesn't Pat Surtain just travel with him the entire game? And why zone? Why any zone? Make it all man. Now, is it trust in Vance Joseph too much? Now, this defense, by the way, sacks in Denver Broncos franchise history, 58 this year. It's number 1 in team history.
Really?
Number 1. My man Tyler.
Wow.
Shout out Tyler, works for the Broncos. Most sacks in Broncos franchise history, 58.
Damn.
They have the
Okay.
record now.
It's impressive.
And they have now, I believe it's 6 players with 5 or more sacks, because Dondrea Tillman now has 5 or more sacks, which I think is fantastic. I thought Dondrea Tillman had a great game.
I do too.
So is it a lack of trust in your offense, or is it trusting Vance Joseph's defense too much when you shouldn't? The way VJ's unit is playing, and it doesn't matter if it's Levi Wallace or Justin Sternad or Riley Moss, when you're getting worked, maybe you should do the heavy lifting on offense.
Do you think they brought Riley Moss back too soon? Or is this just, hey, game reps?
I think it's rust, and as Riley said, I wish we could play the audio.
Oh, he was pissed, dude.
Sometimes you got to eat a crap sandwich. He didn't say crap.
No, yeah. He said the other one.
Sometimes you got to eat a crap sandwich, and he did all night. Now, the great thing about Riley and knowing Riley, and you and I are in the locker room more than any other show in Denver sports radio, Riley's going to be all right. He's going to bounce back. He's going to be fine. I don't feel the same way about Justin Sternad. I want him off the field. I did not feel the same way about Levi Wallace, and they got rid of him. With Riley Moss, I do have full confidence that he will bounce back. He will be better. He was rusty. Maybe, gets his legs underneath him, whatever. And he got worked. He got worked by a really, really good number 2 receiver. Boy, did I make
number 2 still.
I made Cincinnati fans.
It.
I mean, come on. He's never played a full season.
I mean, he sure looked
Show
like
me-
a number 1 on Saturday.
Who's the better receiver, though? Jamar Chase or T. Higgins? We know what number 1s are.
Well, who's the better
It's
receiver?
like arguing if Jordan Addison was better than Justin Jefferson. That's not the case.
No,
and Jordan Addison is really good. In
I
fact, I
can't-
like Jordan Addison better than T. Higgins.
I wouldn't go over Chase by any means or Jefferson by any means. I think the Addison-Higgins conversation is fair, but I've asked you this before. Higgins or Sutton? Who's a number 1?
And I've said Sutton before.
See, and I disagree on that. I go Higgins on that.
Okay, well, I know Sutton's played a full season. I haven't seen that yet, 5 seasons, and he won't this year, by the way, because he already missed 4 or 5 games. So somebody is going to overpay T. Higgins, and they are going to be disappointed. If you want that to be Denver, because I think there was a shot of Bo talking to T. Higgins after the game.
Oh, I didn't see
And
it.
so Broncos fans are like, tell him to come here next year. So he can miss 5 games, right? Like, tell T. Higgins to come here next year so he can miss half the year? You really want to overpay for a receiver who's never played a full season? So let someone else dummy up on that. T. Higgins is a fine receiver. Yes, he is a number 1. I'll say it today.
Okay.
He's totally a number 1. I'm lying. Don't pay him.
Is T. Higgins?
Don't pay him.
Is T. Higgins the Jamal Murray of the Cincinnati Bengals? Right? That's what, everything you were just describing. I'm like, well, that's Jamal. That's Jamal.
Yeah.
Sounds like Cecil's Reggie Jackson.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Kevin's got his Reggie Jackson. You have your T. Higgins.
I'll be all right. I'll be all right. And listen, it's this defense, I think, that needs to figure out a way. I know Kansas City might lay down, and I don't even care. I want the Broncos in the postseason. So don't at me, bro, on they haven't played anybody, and it's Carson Wentz, and the Chiefs laid down. Did you make it or not?
Right.
Did you make it in or not? But damn it, this defense needs to put up better performances because in the month of December, they've been one of the worst defenses in the league. The sacks are great. The sacks are awesome. But that coverage has been Charles Barkley terrible.
The text line, RamosLaw.com text line, is literally 99.9% with us. You have to go for two. Paul C., nice job using your name here, Paul, said, I felt squeamish about this team going for two because the play calling, it wasn't consistent with success under pressure. Paul C. That's about the only thing I've seen. Like, he just didn't feel comfortable with it because of what Sean Payton had been showing. And I think that's fair from what Paul is saying, but our point the whole time was everyone in the stadium, everyone watching at home, every player on the sideline knew you were not going to stop the Bengals the amount of times you needed to stop the Bengals to win the football game in overtime, and we were all right.
I'm going to ask you a very painful question. Before I do that, I'm going to say, hi, YouTube. Make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you never miss a vid. Here's the painful question.
Okay.
Because I know the play the Chiefs would have ran. It's a shovel pass, by the way. But what would Andy Reid have done in that situation?
Oh, you're going for two.
What would Dan Campbell have done in that situation?
He's going for two.
What would Jim Harbaugh have done in that situation?
Going for two.
What would John Harbaugh have done in that situation?
Going for two.
I'm going to ask Sean McDermott, and even though I don't like Sean McDermott, full disclosure, like, even that guy would have gone for two.
He would have said, Josh, what do you want to do? And Josh would have held up two, and they would have gone for two.
Hey, Sean, you can trust Bo. Mm-hmm. You can trust Bo in the same way that Andy trusts Pat. You can trust Bo in the same way that Jim trusts Justin. You can trust Bo in the same way that John trusts Lamar.
Yeah.
You can trust Bo in the same way that Sean trusts Josh. Did I get them all right?
You nailed it. Yeah.
I think I did. Oh, I forgot. Dan trusts Jared.
Dan trusts Jared. Mm-hmm. Well, Sean didn't trust Bo and then said this after the game about not going for two.
I'm going to answer this now. All right, going for two. We knew a tie, though, was for us just as beneficial as a win. And we felt like we had the momentum at that point. So, look, it went back and forth. In the end, we didn't make enough plays. They did.
And again, I'm frustrated at his tone. You're mad at the media, Sean, because you screwed up? I hate that. Like, own it, man. Own it. You did not even have the momentum. You had a play, and it was a hell of a play because Marvin Mims went up and got it. Bo just threw that thing up in the air. That's Bo allowing his guy to go up and make a play. I don't know that they had momentum. You had a great moment, but I don't know that I can call that momentum. And again, I just hate that's how he starts.
I'm going to answer this now. All right.
You're going to answer. Of course you're going to answer it now. It's the only thing to talk about from the game, Sean.
Yes. Define momentum then. I'm curious because and again, I'm a word anthology guy, so I'm a nerd.
Okay, so
momentum comes from the word moment. You had a moment, you built momentum. One play can be momentum.
See, and I would argue against that it has to be more than one play because the one play can build momentum, and then you kick the field goal and don't go for two, and it's all gone. Did they have any momentum after they kicked the field goal?
No, they had 6 yards in overtime.
So it was gone, right? So I know what you're saying, and I like it. The momentum comes from the moment,
right?
But you have to build upon that moment, and then if you do not, well, then there is no momentum.
Because they were what? They were scared.
They were scared, yeah.
They were scared. Sean, specifically.
Sean was scared, yeah.
Sean.
I don't think I know Bo wasn't. I saw the video.
Marvin wasn't.
Yeah.
Cortland wasn't. Adam Troutman wasn't. He didn't want to catch it on 3rd and 9.
He didn't even put his hands up. I can't believe that, dude.
On 3rd and 9 with the playoffs on the line, why would you throw to Adam Troutman? Seriously, you throw that to Court,
Fair
you throw
question.
that to Marvin, and then if it doesn't work, you just go, oh, but you went to your best player. Mm-hmm. You went to your best player. And Adam Troutman is a really good guy. He's really great in the locker room, but I'm not going to him with the game on the line.
That's not who you go down.
Sorry.
No.
Sean,
double down again, talking about understanding what a tie would have done for his team.
Oh, boy.
Going into this game, I knew all of that stuff. And so a lot of it is your gut relative to, how the toss goes. We were moving a little bit on offense and then weighing the percentages of the 2-point conversion. I think that had a lot to do with it. If the tie element didn't sit in there, it'd probably been a little bit easier decision. Obviously, I'm going to get asked the question either way, and so I was comfortable with the decision. We had plenty of time with the decision.
All right, he's comfortable with it, plenty of time. Again, I want to find out what he had to say today about that, if he's still doubling down on his bad decisions, which is going to make it even worse.
They had too much time for the decision. That's why the decision was bad.
You don't think
because
if there
they
was a
overthought
review,
it.
they just go?
Yeah.
Really?
If there's no review, and obviously it's a touchdown, they're going to review every play. But it was like a little extra because of the nature of the play and the ball moving a little bit or whatever. But, yeah. Then he did answer it today about the use of timeouts in overtime, because that's the thing. You can't talk out both sides of your mouth and say, well, we can tie and we can still whatever, and then call 2 timeouts in overtime. And this is what he said, quote, "You have them. Part of it is just calming things down. Once you're in that part of the game, it's sudden death. Partly, it was to give our guys a break," close quote. That's a bad reason.
Mm-hmm.
That's a bad excuse. Mm-hmm. You can't say, oh, we can go to overtime and we can tie and then stop the clock against Joe Burrow. You're not beating Joe Burrow. By the way, and Kev, I think this was in our email this morning, so forgive me, but like, they haven't won an overtime game since 2015. Is that right?
Yeah, it's Super Bowl season.
Yeah. Why in the hell? I mean, where's that analytics in his ear?
And that was at least the second loss in overtime to the Bengals in that stretch.
Yeah, and it's like, hey, coach, we don't win in overtime. Go for it.
Yeah.
I think the last overtime win was against the Bengals in 2015.
That's what it was. That's right. Kevin's right.
The walk-off fumble recovery by DeMarcus Ware.
Yep. Kevin's right. Yeah, again, it's crazy to me that a guy 15 years ago was so aggressive that he went for and converted an onside kick in the Super Bowl, is scared to attempt a 2-point conversion.
Now, is this an admission? And Kev, we're going to have to get this audio because he said it. I see it. He reflected on the decision not to attempt the 2-point conversion. Do you know what he said?
What?
Quote, "Oh, certainly. You go through it all the time relative to what the call would have been. Based on the outcome, you always second guess. You always do that as a head coach. I know I kind of felt I trusted my gut at the moment, but yes, I think it's normal to do that." So he did he kind of admit that he second-guessed himself.
Mm-hmm. I like hearing that a little bit.
Did he finally kind of fall on the sword with that comment?
I don't think he fully did with that comment. I don't think Sean Payton's not the guy that's ever going to be like, yo, that was on me. My bad, y'all. That was my bad.
I ate a crap sandwich.
I just don't think that's who he is.
Okay.
He's always going to find a person, a play, a moment, a referee to point his finger at. So, yeah. And then, by the way, again, it's a 99.9% of people agreeing with us. There are a few texters out there. I mostly think they're just trolls that say, oh, well, if it were the other way around and he went for it and didn't get it, you guys would be crushing him.
No.
I'll speak for you on that one and say the same thing. Absolutely not.
Nope.
It's on the road. It's absolutely no chance to stop the Bengals and Joe Burrow on the other side. You go for the win 100% of that time. Sean Payton.